Hey, thanks for tuning in. In this video, we're going to talk about homosexuality and Torah. What does the law actually say? There are some traditions and some understandings of this command that don't necessarily fall in line with the exact words of the written Torah. And we're going to be looking at that, and we're also going to be talking about more of a general idea regarding presenting this issue. And so let's talk about Leviticus 18. Leviticus 18 is a chapter that deals mostly with what is not allowed, sexually speaking. It talks about a lot of different issues like incest and specific relationships. It goes into very specific wordings regarding these relationships and regarding these commands. And when we get into talking about what people would call homosexuality, we see this wording. This is a very literal wording of what is commanded. And with male you shall not lie down beds of woman. She is abhorrence. And I think we should also look at Leviticus 20, which talks in more detail about these issues. It talks about the punishment for some of these infractions and talks about how to deal with them. Let's look at it for some additional context. In Leviticus 20, it talks about how a man is not supposed to be lying down with a male. Interestingly, it uses two different words here. But we see it essentially reiterated from before, and we see specified who the you is. The you shall not lie down. We're talking about two men lying down with one another. Now, what does this lying down mean? It's the Hebrew word shakab, and it literally does refer to lying down in any kind of innocuous situation. But it also does get used euphemistically as it is here. And so it's a euphemism for talking about sex. And the same thing with the word mishkab, the word for bed, or in this case, beds. We're talking about sexual acts. It's a euphemism for sexual acts, and it is used literally to talk about beds, but we also see it talks about beds of men later in the Torah and Numbers if you're interested. So what we're dealing with here is talking about this in a euphemistic way, but what we are talking about is a man having sex with another man according to sexual acts with a woman. So a man having sex with another man is what is being prohibited here. And it says that she is abhorrence. And just to clarify, the she, there are no gender neutral pronouns in Hebrew. And so the she talking about the act as a whole, she is abhorrence. We could just translate it as it, but I wanted to be completely literal here. So what we see being prohibited in this passage is that a man is not supposed to have sex with another man. Now that much is clear. And I want to continue on in this passage and continue looking at some additional verses to lay some groundwork for what's going to come next. So in the next verse in Leviticus 18, it talks about bestiality, and wording it simply, essentially, it says that a man is not supposed to have sex with an animal, and a woman is not supposed to have sex with an animal. It specifies both. It specifies them separately. Both are a problem. Neither a man nor a woman are supposed to do such a thing. And let's also look at Leviticus 20. Leviticus 20 goes on. It talks about a different command from the next verse, but in the verse after it, it talks about bestiality as well. And it reiterates a man having sex with a beast is a problem. A woman having sex with a beast is a problem. All of these things are punished by capital punishment, and it talks about how specifically to deal with them. So let's look at this structurally. Let's look at this as a list of things, a list of prohibitions of sexual acts. So number one, in terms of what we've been talking about, man plus man is prohibited. And next, we talked about man plus beast is prohibited. And then, woman plus beast is prohibited. Notice what is not mentioned here. Now, I know that some people are going to object out there because there are traditions that insist that woman plus woman must also be a problem. And the thing is that the law never says anything about it. And of course, later people, later traditions, and the false prophet Paul, for example, they talk about it as being a problem. But the thing is that if the law doesn't say it, it's adding to the law, and that's not allowed. And so we can look once again at the very specific wording that we've already discussed, exactly what is being said in Leviticus 18 and talking about a man having sex with another man, a man lying down with a male. We can look exactly at what's being said here, and sure, a person, if they squinted really hard and if they kind of confused themselves mentally and corrupted the text, hallucinated, essentially, yeah, you could arrive at saying that woman plus woman's not allowed. But the thing is that that's the same thing as adding to the law. That's forcing an interpretation that could not reasonably be derived from that specific wording. Once again, this whole passage is talking about very specific things that are being prohibited. And once we get to this passage, it says, "You shall not lie down with male," and it goes on, you shall not lie down with a beast, a man's not supposed to lie down with a beast, and a woman's not supposed to lie down with a beast. The literal wording, it was deemed necessary to specify man and woman separately when it came to bestiality, and interestingly, it specifies nothing regarding women in regard to homosexuality. So indeed, this is not according to traditional interpretations in many cases, but the thing is that if we are trying to force that woman plus woman as being prohibited, then there is a violation of the law. The violation of the law is adding to the law. Adding to the law is not allowed in Deuteronomy 12:32 and Deuteronomy 4:2. Adding to the law and taking away from the law are both prohibited. They are both violations of the law to do that. We need to be teaching the law as the law itself is written. We shouldn't be adding to the law. I think we need to deal with these specifics here and the specifics of this command and others. And when it comes to specifics, I wanted to talk about kind of the broader issue of homosexuality and talking about what it is that's prohibited. Now, we've already looked at the verse, so we already know what the verse says. But the thing is that a lot of times people kind of conflate a whole broad idea of being gay as being some kind of problem, but in reality, this whole big idea of being gay or the whole idea of a homosexual lifestyle, that encompasses a huge scope of a number of behaviors. It's not just talking about a man having sex with a man. And so I think we need to be kind of careful about how we teach what the law says. The law doesn't say anything about a man loving another man. The law doesn't say anything about gay marriage. It doesn't say anything about living according to this homosexual culture. Instead, what we're talking about is this one specific behavior. In this command, we're talking about one specific behavior, that a man is not supposed to lie down with a man in beds of woman. And so we're not talking about all of these other behaviors that people yoke into being a homosexual identity. The thing is that nowadays especially, there's this idea of being gay, and being gay as being a state of being. It is a state of someone's identity. And whenever people talk about it as that, it doesn't just mean this one issue. And so what I think we need to do is I think we need to talk about things specifically, not just in the sense of making sure we're not adding to the law or taking away from the law, but also so that we are being clear as to what the law is. We are teaching the law clearly. What is commanded, what is prohibited. And in this case, we talked about 3 prohibitions. A man's not supposed to have sex with another man, and a man's not supposed to have sex with a beast, and a woman's not supposed to have sex with the beast. That is what is specifically being commanded in these verses that we looked at. Thanks for watching. Feel free to like this video and to share it if you think it could generate more discussion on this issue. And feel free to subscribe if you have not already, so we can stay in touch and so we can continue talking about more Torah issues. Thanks for watching. Remember the commands. Peace.